I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. This time out, a versatile new reverb from FabFilter. Let's get started. Lately I've been on a reverb kick because there are so many cool new plugins coming out that offer a variety of different takes on that simple reverb concept. One of the latest ones I've discovered is Pro-R from FabFilter. I've really been enjoying this plugin because it offers a straight-ahead take on reverb, but it also has a variety of extended functions that you can access to tailor the reverb exactly to what you want and to make it into a very versatile processing plugin. There are several things I really like about Pro-R. First of all, of course, it sounds great. All the FabFilter Pro plugins sound absolutely awesome. The other thing is that it's so controllable and the user interface is so simple and so clear. Let's take a tour of the plugin. As I mentioned, the user interface on Pro-R is very user-friendly. One of the things I like about it is that you can resize it to fit your screen or the amount of real estate that you want it to take up. For example, I'm viewing it here at medium size. You can also look at this as large, extra large, or you can zoom out and cover the entire screen. Across the top of the screen we have our basic controls. The way that Pro-R is set up, when you hover over a control, you can either see a tooltip that describes it, or in this case it lights up to show you that that control is now active under your mouse. On the top left we have a brightness control, and this adjusts the overall brightness of the reverb sound, of course, but it also affects the decay and a few other parameters as well. Most of the controls inside Pro-R are actually adjusting more than one parameter simultaneously, and this makes it even more versatile. The character control takes us from clean on the far left. In that setting you're hearing a straight ahead, very pure reverb sound, basically just the models that are inside Pro-R. As we turn the control up, we're adding more character, and in this case that's going to be more modulation, almost to a chorus type setting when you get it all the way up. And basically this adds more life to the reverb signal. The distance control, which is next up here, helps us position our source track forward and back in the mix. So you can actually drop it farther back in the mix or bring it more forward, giving it more presence by adjusting this control. The space control is where we set the overall sound of the reverb as well as the overall decay time. So this is adjusting multiple things at once. We have multiple models here around the outside. Those are different rooms ranging from a small space up to a cathedral here on the top. And as we adjust that, you can see the reverb time is changing, but the characteristics of the room are also changing as we adjust this. Decay rate, of course, sets our decay time. When we're at 100%, we're at the same setting as here. As we turn this down, you'll see that we have our full reverb time still shown here at the bottom, but at the top, we're cutting that back by using our decay rate time. And we can also extend that longer. Stereo width sets the spaciousness of the reverb across the stereo field, so we can range from fully mono to all the way to a wide stereo setting. Mix control sets our blend of the dry signal to the wet signal, and one thing I like here is that we have this lock command. When you lock this, as you change presets, you're not going to change the mix control. This is very useful when you're trying to audition different presets because your mix isn't changing along with the preset. Across the bottom of the screen, we have some extended features that are very interesting. First of all, we have MIDI Learn here on the left. Now this allows us to assign any incoming MIDI command to a parameter within Pro-R. So you can take remote control over all the parameters and sequence those from a MIDI controller, from a keyboard, or from inside your DAW. Pre-delay has some interesting features as well. First of all, we can adjust it from very short, 0 milliseconds, all the way up to 500 milliseconds, which is half a second, an extremely long pre-delay time. But even more interesting is when we click on the lock. This allows us to synchronize the pre-delay time to the tempo of the track. And we can do that by rhythmic intervals. So we can set it to a quarter note, an eighth note, 16th note, or a 32nd note. As you'll see when we start running some audio through the plugin, we also have an analyzer that runs across our screen. We can assign this to look at the pre plus post or the reverb plus post signals. Our final parameters on the bottom of the screen are input and output, and we can adjust those from one screen, input level, output level, as well as global bypass. When you have global bypass activated, you get a red bar above and below, so it's very easy to see that you've bypassed the processing. Here in the main graphic part of the display in the center, we actually have two equalizers, a decay rate EQ and a post EQ. Now the post EQ is going to be a bit more familiar. Basically what we have here is a 6-band parametric EQ that we can use to shape the tone of the reverb tail. And you can do this graphically by simply moving a band, or you can actually go in and adjust a band manually by double-clicking upon it. We can also remove a band by clicking on the X. The final EQ option we have is very powerful, and that's the decay rate EQ. Now in most reverbs, we'll have some kind of a damping control, or you might have a crossover that allows you to turn down the highs versus the lows as the tail decays. With the decay rate EQ, we have a parametric EQ that we can assign to specific frequencies. So we could, for example, set the decay rate for 1000 Hertz to be very short, while making the decay rate at 5K very long, the decay rate at 300 Hertz small. so we can go in and very carefully shape the way that reverb is decaying over time from a frequency standpoint. This is a very powerful tool for getting exactly the reverb tail that you want. Now that we've taken a tour of Pro-R and looked at some of the basic interface features, let's run some sound through the plugin. To demonstrate, I have a recording of a cajon, and I'll be showing you a variety of different presets and making some adjustments to those presets as we go. I'll begin by showing you the dry sound of the cajon, and then I'll load up the default setting inside Pro-R, and we'll look at some of the other presets from there. As you can hear in that demonstration, Pro-R is a very versatile, very flexible reverb. Whether you're looking for something that recreate a traditional plate, you want a special kind of ambience, you want some kind of tempo-based reverb effect, all those types of sounds and a lot more are available in Pro-R. It's really a great sounding reverb, but it's a lot of fun to use because the user interface is so brilliant. I hope you enjoyed this look at Pro-R from FabFilter. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute. I'm Mitch Gallagher.